Welcome to the Armchair GM Podcast. He's Chris. I'm Dylan. And today we have some hot takes for the Flames offseason and a little bit of playoff talk.
Welcome to the Armchair GM Podcast. All right, so we probably should waste any time. I just caught wind that we're ready to offer Sheep Bedard. Hot take.
I mean, can't even do that until next offseason, but sure.
Oh, damn it. Okay, well, there goes my list.
Okay. Well, the show's over then.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Go Flames.
Yeah, figured we do some hot takes for the offseason because not a whole lot of Flame stuff going on, but there's a lot of people talking about a lot of fun stuff. So figured we'd make a couple of our own. And yeah. So you got any, Chris?
I mean, I've got a couple that I've written out. Everything that I've put down, I mean, essentially is only Flames related, not as far as going after players, stuff like that. Like I haven't put any hot takes as far as acquisitions or anything like that. But first thing that I'm thinking that is probably going to happen as far as this season, we call it a hot take or potentially a likely, is that Anderson will be traded at the draft to open up a spot for Perek, and he's going to spend the season playing with Ball next year.
That would be awesome.
Right.
Obviously, I love Anderson, but kind of doesn't fit the team anymore, considering we have so many right-handed D coming up. I don't mind that at all. I'm not sure if, like, I could see Perek playing like 65, 70 games, but I'm guessing that he will have to have a few games off to sit in the press box and learn some lessons, just being a guy who's, as much as I was impressed by his first game as far as defense is concerned, I feel like he's going to have a few times where he sits in the press box with Conroy and Mike Stone or something like that, and they try and point some stuff out to him and teach him some stuff,
Absolutely. I feel like if nothing else, he'll likely make a few defensive gaffes through the season, and and it'll earn him a spot in the press box for a game, so as that he can sit and watch it and think about what he's done, sort of thing. Right? It's just all part of growing and learning. I think that's fine. If he can pull 65 to 75 games out of next season, I'm a happy man.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sure that he'll sit out a couple games without a doubt, right? I mean, he's young, he's learning. There will be mistakes. It's all part of the process, and and then I'm just going to go ahead and go into my second one because it goes with it.
Okay.
And my second one is that he does make the Flames out of camp. Not really a hot take per se, but I think he's going to lead all defensemen in points next year. Again, probably not a super hot take.
That I don't think the making the team out of camp is a hot take. I think that leading all defensemen, Flames defensemen, I'm guessing you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. He's not going to beat Cale Makar in his first year.
I mean, didn't you give him a slight comparison to Makar last?
Like in a poor man's Cale Makar in 5, 6, 7 years type of thing. Yes.
Right. Which would lead the Flames defenseman in points.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, Dylan. Don't argue with me.
No, I'm not sure if he'll do, because I think Weegar will still lead them in points for defensemen because the guy can score. He's gonna munch minutes. He's gonna get way more minutes than Perek, and he's never gonna be scratched, right? I think Perek's offensive ceiling is way higher
Mhm.
than Uyghur's is, obviously, but I think there's gonna be a lot of learning and a lot of game like not only a lot of games where he's sitting in the press box or a few games where he's sitting in the press box, but also a lot of games where he only ends up Perek only ends up with, you know, between 6 and 11 minutes because he made that gaff or because the Flames are protecting a lead or something like that, right? Not
Yeah,
not
that's fair.
not like half the season or anything like that, but enough that it's going to keep his points down a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I feel like his minutes will fluctuate, obviously,
Mhm.
but I think, and you're right, it'll be because of something defensive that was a breakdown of some kind, whatever, which is fine. Um, but I think what will get him back into it is going to be a really fucking phenomenal offensive play, and I think that's going to instantly earn him another minute through the game. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be a lot of ebb and flow and whatnot. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and I think that through through the season, I feel like the offensive situations are going to outweigh the defensive situations. Because I think he's going to learn quickly on the fly. He's going to learn by you know spending time with Uyghur, which he clearly has already, as far as obviously off ice stuff. But I think on ice and off ice, I think he's going to learn the position pretty quickly. He's an intelligent human being, and I think he's going to do take the right steps in as far as development and learning. And I'm hoping that he can take some criticism from his mentors. Not what I mean, like just hey, pull it back. Let's discuss it. And I'm hoping that he receives it well. And if he does, I have some pretty high hopes for him.
That's one thing, not to get too off topic, but that's one thing I really like about our D corps in general right now is
Mhm.
guys like Uyghur and Ball really like to talk on the bench. And even like even the Kadris and maybe not, yeah, Backlund too. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
leaders on the team talk on the bench a lot. When there's
Mhm.
very few times when the camera pans over to the bench, everyone's just quiet, right?
Yeah.
Usually there's
Unless
people
yeah,
talking with each other,
unless you're
not
losing.
quite like the Johnny Kachuk Lindholm line did. That was like insane. But
Yeah.
in general, I find that they all talk to each other a lot. So I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Unless they're down 4 points late in the game, right? And obviously you look at the bench, they're going to be quiet. But for the
Yeah,
most part, you're right. They have a lot of chatter, just discussion, whatever, whether discussing the last play, what they think of it, or what they're going to try and do the next. Yeah, you do see a lot of that chatter, which is good. And I think that's part of the thing that changed the culture, right?
yeah.
Just having good discussion, being willing to hear the gripes and learn from it, grow with it with your team, and move forward with it. I think that's important.
I agree. So I'll head into one of my hot takes here, and this is one. I'm thinking of a team like New Jersey who was just ousted from the playoffs. Um, Montreal was just ousted from the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
But I think maybe not those teams specifically. I could see it being Montreal because their David Savard is out, but he's retiring, and Arbor Jacki isn't really an NHL player. He's just a guy who scares people. Um, but
Mhm.
I think that the Calgary Flames and Craig Conroy is going to get an offer he can't refuse for either Martin Pospisil or Braden Bahal or both. And I don't want either of those guys off the team. I love watching both of them play, but I feel like those are the types of players that teams who get ousted from the playoffs early because they're not tough enough or because they can't play well enough defensively or
Mhm.
because whatever the reason, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Feel like one of those teams is going to come up and be like, hey, how about Braden Pahal? Because he's not expensive. How about Martin Pospisil? Because he's not expensive, right? And I feel like Conroy is going to say no, 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 no. And then he's going to get one of those offers that's like, I can't believe I'm getting this offer for this player. And he's going to pull the
Right.
trigger.
I mean, in my opinion, nobody should be off the table.
Mhm.
If there is a deal that makes sense and blows you away, you have to pull it. You
Oh,
have
I
to,
totally
in
agree.
my opinion. And in this stage of where the Calgary Flames are, you have to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's players that I would, I would not like to see go. But if the package is that good, you have to do it.
And I don't
You
think
really
either
do.
of those guys are worth a package. Like
No, I
it's
don't
not like
either.
you're going to get a first round pick and an A plus prospect for either of those guys. But
Yeah,
I think like if you get offered like a high second round pick for Braden Pahal,
yeah.
right?
For your 6'7", like for your 6'7" defenseman, you have to take that.
Right. If you get offered, I don't know, young a young center for Pospisil, or if you get like with decent upside for Pospisil, maybe, right?
Mhm.
If you get offered, I don't know, I could see a team with a late first round pick, like a 30th, a 28th to 31st pick type of thing, being like,
Right.
you know what, Martin Pospisil is the type of guy we need, a guy who is not afraid to run through the other team. We need that guy for the playoffs. And
Yeah.
he's not going to be expensive. And part of the reason that you're getting good offers on guys like that is because they're not expensive, right? As far as cap is concerned.
Yeah. No, for sure. He's not expensive as well as I mean, he'd go through a wall for his team, right? That's
Pospisil
you'd
or
see it
both of them,
almost. Yeah. Hospital mostly, I would say. Um,
as long as he's not
Pahal
doing it head
is
first, I'm fine.
right. Yeah, as long as he's not, risking suspension and stuff like that, because he can get into some stupid territory on occasion if
Yeah,
if he's left to do what he wants, right? But I mean, $1 million contract for a guy like um, Pospisil. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty desirable, really, because he can go up and down lineups. I don't think he's a first line player. Obviously, I don't think he's a second line player either. But I think he's a pretty steady middle six. Or even if you throw him on the fourth line, he's gonna improve pretty much any line you put him on.
and here's the thing, he doesn't. Pospisil doesn't get a lot of points,
Mm.
but if you followed his season, the players on his line as he moved through the lines, right? He played on the third
Mhm.
line, he played on the fourth line, he played on the first line, and he was almost a spark plug for lines that were dying, right? Like
Yeah,
all of a sudden, Rooney and Lomberg started scoring when Pospisil was on their line. All of a sudden, Backlund and Coleman started playing offensively, but it's like he just makes room for
mm,
his teammates. He's not out there shooting and scoring a lot. He's not making crazy nice plays, but he's crashing and banging, and he's wrestling in front of the net, and he's just making right and making space. And that's the stuff
yeah,
that playoff teams look for. That's why Sam fucking Bennett is about to get like a $9 million contract, right?
Well, it's a useful position, right? I mean, if you can go in there and create space for your line mates and, be the guy that goes into the corner, crashes and bangs and comes out with the puck, you're a useful person on that line,
100%.
right? Like you really are. Like he's like you said, like he only got what 25 points this season. So it's not like he's not ripping it up in points, but you notice him every single game.
It might not have been Kadri's hottest part of the season, but it was one of Kadri's hot parts of the season where
Mhm.
Pospisil was on his line. Pospisil wasn't getting all sorts of points, but Kadri was getting a bunch of points playing with Pospisil. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that that's a big reason why. And I think that teams value that type of stuff too, right? Especially for the playoffs. If you're planning or if you know you're going to be a playoff team next year, or if you're pretty damn sure and you're looking for a bottom six grinder, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, when he's on the ice and he's playing his game effectively, where he's crashing in the boards and it causes mistakes from the other team because they're trying to get the puck away just that much quicker because they know that hit is coming, so they want to get rid of the puck. They're going to make mistakes quicker, and that's just something that he brings to his game. And like you said, he's not out there ripping it up in points, but he's noticeable every single game. He's noticeable by the broadcast, by the fans, by the other team. Like, and so I think given that, because he is noticeable in every game, that kind of increases his value some as well.
and again, I don't want Pospisil traded. I'm not out here being
No,
like, get rid of Paul, get rid of Pospisil. I like both of those players. I really like them on the team.
yeah.
There were games where both of those guys stood out a lot to me. I like the physical game. I like the
Mhm.
defensive game of Pahal for the vast majority of the season. He kind of fell off near the end, but I I don't want those guys traded. But if Conroy does get some of these offers that I think he might get, just knowing how teams overreact to physicality in the playoffs when they get ousted early,
Mhm.
those are the types of guys I think,
And
I
that
don't mind getting rid of if we are going to get a really good offer for. And also, those guys are available in pretty much every free agency. Not those
Yeah.
two specifically, obviously, but like there's guys like that who are available in free agency all the time,
Mm.
whether it's every year or every second year or whatever. So whenever we are competitive, you can sign those bottom pair, bottom six players, or you can trade for them with the assets you have then, right? When you're not trying to get younger and more skilled and you are
Yeah.
trying to get tougher, the tougher players are easier to find than the skilled players, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know my thought on defense, and I would personally not like to be without Bahal on the back end,
Yep.
just because I do like how he plays the game. But I understand where we're at, where what he is as far as his franchise is, because he did miss some games this year, not because he was injured,
Yep.
just because his play kind of fell off on a few. I think he missed like six or between 6 and 8 games just sitting in the press box because he just wasn't in the lineup. So I get it.
And I
Um,
honestly like even him not playing very well. I just want to say this,
mhm.
much better than Miramonov every game, much better than
Yeah, absolutely.
most games.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't think he should have sat, but he did.
yeah. No, and I agree with that. Yeah, even at his worst, he's still better than a couple of guys that we had on the roster this season.
Oh, and Barry, but thank
You're
God we
right.
don't
I
have
was
to talk
about
about
saying.
that.
Like better than Barry's ever been defensively. Obviously, not better than Barry's been offensively. I get
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah. Okay.
and they're young guys, so they can teams can trade for them and sign them to 3 years or whatever if they so do desire.
Mhm. Okay. My second hot take, since you did two, I'll do another one here.
Yep.
And this might be my least hot out of all of them, but Vladar resigns with Calgary, and I don't think it's gonna make a bunch of fans super happy because it's going to be too much money for a backup goalie of his caliber. Um, the number I have down here is 3 million for 2 years with no clause. So I think it very tradable. We have cap space. The Flames are just, overpay for 2 years of a backup, can actually back up.
Mhm.
Um, and also if Cooley or Murphy or whoever else, Sergeyev or whoever else is ready, King, I guess, Carter
Mhm.
King. If any of those
Yeah.
guys come up and are actually ready, then you can trade Vladar, hold $1 million. No big deal, right? People are going to freak out because whether it's 3 million, whether it's 2.5, whether it's 3.5, whatever, people are going to freak out over it
Right.
because it's too much for a backup goalie. But I mean, the Flames are sitting at like fucking $18 million in cap space and have a whole bunch of salary retention spots. So that
I
doesn't
mean,
matter to me. And I just think that Vladar seems like he really likes it in Calgary. And the team
mhm.
seems like they really like Vladar. And he seems like he's good for the room too. And he knows his role, which is important
That's huge.
for Wolf, right?
Yeah, I think that's huge. And in my opinion, 3 mil is not an overpay for somebody that plays 30 games this season.
You think he's gonna play 30?
And he played 30 this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
But him
but I
and
mean,
Wolf split the first half.
yeah, but I mean, if you think I don't, if we start getting Wolf into 60, 63 game territory, I think we're overplaying him and we're going to burn him out.
Hellebuck.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, that's fair.
if you keep him, between 52 and 55 games a season, okay, so then some Vladar is playing 30 to or 25 to 30, then I personally don't think that 3 mil for 2 seasons is an overpay.
Fair enough.
Especially, like when he first came here, his first season and a half, maybe 2 seasons, he was really productive. He didn't get many games because we were overplaying Markstrom at the time. But when he was in there, he was a really effective goalie.
And oh boy,
Um,
doesn't Markstrom look like it? Like he was been overplayed for years now.
right.
Yeah.
And then obviously he had his injury issues and fell off and was not looking good. Everybody knows it. And then he has his surgery this past off season, comes back, a bit of a slow start. I think it was tentative. He was probably kind of worried about starting full and going at it as hard as he can, which is kind of understandable given the injury that he had, and obviously it's important to be able to have full range of movement when you're playing. And
And
then he
also
finally kind of clues in,
when you
and then he
essentially
clues
get
in,
new
and
hips,
yeah,
you want to test them out before you drive them full
right,
speed. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then he finally gets into his spot, and I mean down the stretch he was fucking brilliant.
He was
He
really
was,
good. Like he could I
yeah,
don't think there was much of a margin between him and Wolf at all for the last
no,
no.
10
10
games each.
for his last Vladar's last 10 games anyways,
Mhm.
which I guess is a
Yeah,
third of the season, right? So
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like, yeah, I have no issue re-signing Vladar at all. And I know you started that as a, you know, not a super hot, but the fans aren't going to like it, and I could give a damn what the fans like on that one. In my opinion, I think that's in my opinion, I think it's a smart move because there's potentially a really good trade chip there. If in a year when our guys that are playing for the Wranglers are ready to come up and make their debuts, then we have options that we can actually get legitimate return for, right?
yeah,
Now, I don't think he's going to be, a big return, but if we can get more than what we got, what we traded to get him,
which was a third
perfect.
round pick, a late third
Yeah,
round pick, I believe.
a late third, yeah, yeah. So
So
if we can get a late third and a prospect, great.
yeah,
It's awesome.
absolutely. What's your third hot take?
My third hot take. I mean, my third hot takes is a string of and it's just contracts that I figured that we would be potentially up for in this off season because obviously we do have some guys coming off um, as far as UFA/RFA,
Yeah.
and I personally just went after the RFAs because that's what I like. We're building a team,
So
so
most of them are extensions. Other than Wolf, I believe they would all be extensions.
mm,
Or sorry,
no, they're
Wolf is
all
the extension. The other ones are not extensions. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all at RFA status now, or I guess July 1 technically. Um, so yeah, so this year or this summer, I think Craig's going to sign Kevin Ball to a 4-year, $5 million per contract.
Pretty
I
decent.
don't think it's an I don't think it's an overpay. I don't think it's necessarily even a hot take, but I think that's something that gets done this summer with Kevin. I think he proved himself to be worthy of the upgrade, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just something that needs to get done. Because right now he's making a million basically. And I think he deserves a raise given the ice time and his effectiveness on this team for the whole 24-25 season.
Yeah. And what's his? How old is he? I'm just taking a look.
20, 25,
He is
24. He's 24, 25. Let's see. He's 24.
yeah, he's 24. So that you said 5 mil for 4 years, so that takes him to 28.
Yep.
Is a couple or three, I guess, UFA years. Um I think that's fair considering where he was in New Jersey's lineup when we got him
Mhm.
and how well he's played for us. I think that's a good deal for both sides. I don't think he's at like I'm not going to put the ceiling on him for sure, but I don't see him being a first pair defenseman. He's a pretty good second pair defenseman, and I think
Yep.
a mid-term 5 mil for a second pair guy is fucking. I think that's actually by the time that expires, that's going to be cheap. When it
I think so.
starts, it's going to be average. When it
Mhm.
ends, it's going to be cheap. And we've
Right,
got
exactly.
cap space, and he has proven himself to be really good for us. I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah. That was my thought, because yeah, in 4 years from now, 5 mil is going to be a pretty much a steal of a deal for somebody that plays 20 to 22 minutes a game.
Yeah, and by
Right?
then he might even play more, especially if he is that guy for Perec. And
Yeah.
in 4 years, I could see Perec logging 22, 25 minutes a game type of thing.
Mhm.
So if he's
Mhm.
that guy who's on with Perec whenever it's not a power play, Fuck yeah. Let's do
Yep.
it.
Yep. Exactly. Next contract I have on my list is Coronado. Coronado, I think, does a 3-year bridge,
Okay. At
and I
what?
think it'll be at 4 mil. So
That's not bad.
like a decent like a decent amount on that 3-year, but I think I think they're going to do that just as a show of faith. And
So I'm just
I'm not saying that they need to find out what he is or anything like that. I just think, given kind of where we are in this retool rebuild, I think we do need to have one or two players that aren't full on, 7 years, that sort of thing tied.
okay. I'm trying to find it here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but um the only thing I'm worried about with that is that how old yeah, I think that that would march him directly to UFA. So when he
I think
that
so too.
expires, it would not we wouldn't have bought any UFA years, but
Hmm.
he'd be able to just leave for nothing if he wanted to.
Right.
Not sure
Yeah.
if he'd want to because by that time I feel like we'd be on the upswing, pretty like probably a
Yeah.
playoff team, and he would probably be, a staple on the first power play and maybe
Yeah.
splitting time between line 1 and line 2 type of thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I
playing
think
with
he'll
the
be a
best
key
players on the
part.
team.
Yeah. He's going to be a key part to our progression, obviously. And I think at that point, I think he's going to be needed, and he's going to feel like he's needed. And I feel like it's probably going to hurt the Flames as far as negotiation on the contract at the end of it. And I'm fine with that at that point.
If it was my choice, because obviously I'd like to get him Matt Coronado at a long-term deal because I see him being I know I've said this before, but I see him being Phil Kessel, just a really, really good
Yeah.
skates deceptively well, with a little bit better of a willingness to back check and play defense.
Hmm.
But also, I don't think his agent is going to be okay with a long term deal. I think I'd rather have him be an RFA with arbitration rights than march him right to UFA. And I could be wrong, but I think that's a 2-year deal instead of a 3-year deal, and I'd be willing
Right.
to do that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I'd be
I'd do that
fucking
too.
terrified if it marches him right to UFA. I'd be fucking just because of where he's from. Like I don't usually buy into the US players not wanting to play in Canada thing, but
Mm.
when you march guys right to UFA and they have agents like his agent, they take that
Yeah.
option. That's not
Yeah.
about him
No,
being from the
that's
US,
fair.
actually. That's just good business from a agent and player standpoint.
Yeah. You have to also think about, at that time, the teams that have, the no, state income tax and things like that, those teams are actually going to be in the middle of a rebuild or starting a rebuild. But that being said, they'll be getting rid of players and can actually give somebody a big juicy contract. So it's hard to say, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I would definitely feel comfortable with the 2-year that you're talking about with and giving them the arb. I don't
yeah.
mind that.
And what sorry, what
Yeah,
was the number though? You said 4 mil?
yeah,
I'd almost so I think that's a fair short-term deal for him, but I'd almost give him. I'd bump it up to 6.5, maybe even 7 if it's long term. Give him the option to lock himself up until he's whatever 30, 31 at 7, 6.5, 7.
I would
See,
I
see,
would
see if
give
you take it.
him
I don't think they would, but
I would feel a lot more comfortable giving Coronado, the big one, like the big contract, the 7 year,
yeah,
than I would Zari at this point.
just because of injuries
And absolutely because of injury. He has missed so much time in his professional career due
and
to
they've
injury.
been bad injuries too.
Yeah,
Now, I think all of them are fluke injuries. Like,
sure. But I mean, you know, 2 knees and an ankle, I mean, those are not the types of injuries that you're gonna be able to sustain in, long term.
multiple.
If it becomes an issue and he's locked into a 7 or 8, then I'm fucking mad, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
And
So I'm guessing Zeri's your next.
Terry's my next.
Go ahead.
Um, so I said 5 year at 8 million.
For Zeri.
Yeah. I don't want to
Wow.
give him that 8. I don't want to give him the 8 year, right? Or the 7 or 8. Um,
You want to give Zeri $4 million and more than Coronado.
yes. I think
I'm a
as
huge
far as
Zeri fan, man, but that's rich.
I know. So, and I can justify the price increase
That's
just
a hot
based
take right there.
on uh on the whole package that Zeri is over Coronado, in my opinion. I think Zeri's he's a leader. He is responsible on in all zones. I think he
Yeah. So is
creates
Coronado,
plays.
by the way, but
No, I do. I agree. I think he creates plays more than Coronado does, and he also has the ability to score. Obviously, so does Coronado.
yeah.
I think aside from learning some good, responsible defensive hockey this year, Coronado is still just a one-trick pony as far as he has a really good shot and
Offensive.
he has offensive shot and he can he's got a great release and all that stuff. But as far as a complete player, I think Zari is still vastly better as long as he can remain healthy.
So I'll agree with most of that. Now I think Coronado has become a little bit better of a defensive player, a lot better than he was, and maybe even a little bit better than Zeri is at defense. But when it comes to transitional play,
Mm,
neutral zone play, like carrying the puck in the neutral zone into the offensive zone, which
mm,
is something that I mean, it's pretty much Frost and Zeri at this point. Um,
mm.
and also being able to protect the puck and protect the puck well. Like Zeri is better on the puck.
Right,
Coronado is better at finding the soft areas and only having the puck for a second or less and scoring.
right.
So fuck, I think they'll end up playing together quite a bit at some point because I think those are two skill sets that mesh very well together. Um, I still
Yep.
think 8 is a lot, especially for a guy who like we have the cap space, and I do want to. I want our team to be known as one who's willing to uh take the stab on the young players that we've drafted because like
Mm,
I'm sorry, but bridging Kachuk is fucking moronic. Um, but and among other things that we've done. But I'd like to have that reputation as a team. But I think that 8 is just a bit too much. If you're
Yeah,
doing a 4 year with Zeri, I'd go like 6.57, and anything with Coronado, I wouldn't go any less than 5. Um,
I think
yeah,
the way I thought about it is because we're I don't want to give him that long term deal.
so you
Um,
want to give them the financial stability
give him, yeah, give him
short
the bump on the short term. Just because, like I said, that long term really worries me with him.
term.
Um,
It's
and so
fair.
I figured he should be rewarded for that because, I mean, let's be honest, at the beginning of last year, like the 23 24 season, a couple of months into it, we were both like, hmm, okay, yeah, this guy's going to make a lot of fucking money.
Zeri? Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And now after, his injuries, especially this year, I'm not giving him anything close to what you and I discussed. Like there's not a chance I put ink to paper on a 7 year for that. And so I think
But you would
with
put
that
8
being
paper on
said,
the
I would. Yeah. I'm
that's
I'm more comfortable giving him more money on short term than you know the 9 or potentially 9.5 that you and I discussed last off season,
I
right?
think we were
Over
more
the
at
7 year.
7.5 to 8 last season.
I thought you mentioned going even higher than that, and I was like, oof. But but
I
yeah,
could
just
be
given
wrong. I'm pretty sure I was at 7.5 to 8
yeah
at a long-term deal before the 2 leg injuries.
yeah
Because
that could be
I was like I was citing the Thompson deal, which I believe is around 8.
right. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well,
Um,
then I'm gonna give him that same contract, but only in 4 years.
yeah, that's fair. Okay. Clearly, we see it a little bit different because I'm worried about the injuries now. Again, I think they're fluke injuries. I think, especially the fact that it was the same leg in 2 completely fluke plays. I don't think either of those were the Hellison or the Rantanen play were bad. As far as the guy meaning to do it or anything like
Oh
that. I
yeah,
just think
no, they
that
were both complete accidents.
they're
Yeah.
both complete accidents and complete flukes. And the one that took him out, the first preseason game he ever played, that
Mhm.
was a blocked shot to the ankle. So
Right.
I don't think any of those aren't concussions, right? Now ACL tears, or I think it was an ACL. I can't remember, but those can haunt you for a long time, right?
That's
But
right.
I would like to get him locked up longer term as well because I think that the sky is the limit for him. But again, I think that his agent and him are going to both try and go for a bridge, because like a 2-year bridge where he's still a restricted free agent afterwards,
Mhm.
because of the injuries and because they want to prove that they can be healthy, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think will happen. But now, if 4x8 comes across social media feeds for Connor Zary on July 1st or July 5th or whatever, I I'll probably cringe a little bit, but I'm not going to be like highly upset by it because I think that that guy can be a play driver for us and a really good complement to some of the players we have, like Coronado,
Yeah.
um, and Huberdeau for that matter. I think that specific line one day, Huberdeau, Coronado, and Zeri in the middle, could be fucking amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably go a
Yeah.
little less than 8, even at a short term deal. But I'd be willing to, you know, I wouldn't be super upset by it.
In all honesty, I think it's probably going to be closer to between 6 and 7.
Yeah,
Um, but it wouldn't be a hot take if it was an 8.
fair enough. Yeah, that's true. Do you have any other contracts? I'm guessing Wolf.
Nope. I don't even have him on the extension. My last one is Klapka.
Oh, okay.
I got him at a 5 year $4 million
Is he an RFA this year or next year?
this year.
I think that's far too high. 5
Yeah.
years. Huh. That could end up looking really good at the end. But I think that it'll look pretty rough for the first year or two. Like he showed some strong play near the end, but I don't know if a strong 2 months, well, or like month or whatever, well, while the team was also very hot,
Mhm.
is is really worth throwing that kind of contract out for a guy who I think both of us fairly project more as a bottom 6 type of guy. At least that's what we said in the last episode.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I still have him in the bottom 6 for sure.
Yeah. And I think that that's a decent contract for a bottom sixer in a few years, but the first couple years of that could look rough. But at the same time, like we've got the cap space, but also locking players in for even midterm earlier than you need to could, uh, it could negatively affect you. What if we are looking, we have one piece left to be a Stanley Cup contender in 2 years, and what's keeping us from doing it is a guy who's a fourth liner or scratched half the time that's making 4 mil.
Good point.
I mean, then you throw a third round pick out to get rid of him, but still, right?
Yeah, or at that point, that's when you're exploring the buyout or retention of Kadri and whatever. 'Cause, I
Yeah,
mean, in 2 years or 3 years, he's obviously. I don't think he's going to be nearly as productive as he was this year.
true.
So, I mean, you're at that point, you're going to be exploring those options anyways.
Yeah,
But
that,
yeah,
that's
no,
an
I
interesting one
I
though.
understand what you're saying for sure. What's that?
I said that that's an interesting one though, because I think he's got a decent ceiling on him, but not like he's never going to be a high flying guy, right? Like,
No, I mean he rips it up in the A, right? We
well,
know
yeah,
that already.
yeah.
Um,
But guys in the A look at a guy who's 6'8" in
yeah, they
general,
run
and
the
they're
other
just
way.
like, "The fuck is this?" And then they're like
Yeah,
shell shocked the entire game.
yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
and they're
But I
just
mean, like,
smiling down at him.
yeah, and I mean, he is a likable guy. And I'm sure he's liked in the room because he's got a pretty positive outlook on things, or he seems to. He ended up with only 10 points in uh, in 31 games. So I understand, hesitation paying the guy that much money. I get that.
He did play
But
with Lomberg and Rooney for quite a bit of that, right? Most of those points
yeah.
probably came when he started playing with Kadri. Like we said last week, like the guy took advantage of the opportunity he was given when
Well,
I
and
can't even
that was
remember who
kind
it
of
was
my,
that got hurt at this point, but somebody got hurt and he went up to the top line and just the first shift looked
oh,
great.
that would have been Zara going down, wouldn't it?
No, that was far after Zeri went down. That was
It was, but Can't remember who went
It
down
was
after
actually
that.
somebody that got hurt. I can't remember exactly who it was at this point, but it was somebody who got hurt in the game and then ended up coming back later in the game after Klapka already started looking great. Awesome podcasting.
Right? Can't even think of who that was at the time. But I
It
so
may
and
have
that's
been
and that's my thought.
Hospital.
And that's my thought on giving him more money is the fact that he was finally given the opportunity and he wasted like no time being
Legitimately
effective.
0 time.
Yeah, like he just went right after it. And I think if you give Klapka the opportunity to be at the very least a middle six, I think you're going to be rewarded by the result on it.
It would have been either Sharon Govich, who I think it was. It would have been either Sharon Govich or um, Pospisil. One of those two guys
Mhm.
got hurt. I think it was Sharon Govich, and then he came back later in the game. But by that time, um, Klapka had already fucking carried the puck in from the corner and scored.
Yeah, that was that first one where all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Oh,
he's a power forward. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, I'm gonna get into my last one here. So this one's kind of a multi-parter.
Oh yeah.
So I know a lot of people have been talking about offer sheets this year, and I'm not of the mind that there's going to be a ton of them. Like, I think a lot of people think there's going to be a whole lot of offer sheets, but I think that we are going to be in on Maverick Bork from the Stars.
Mm,
Now, the first part of this is going to be Craig Conroy trades Blake Coleman to the Dallas Stars with retention. So that eats up a little bit of the Stars cap space, right? We hold on to some,
right.
we get like whatever it is, a second round, late first, whatever it is. They get Blake Coleman for a year or two there. And then so if you look at the Stars cap space, they have I think 5.8 or something like that projected for next year. Um
Right.
and they also have where is it here? They have expiring Jamie Benn, Michael Granlund, Matt Duchene, Evgeny Dadonov, Maverick Bork, Colin Blackwell, Cody Ceci, Nils Lundqvist, and Brendan Smith. That is a lot of depth to replace with 5.8 million of cap space.
Right.
So I think what the Flames could do is put the pressure on them. First of all, you trade them for Coleman at the draft. Now Coleman has a no trade list, but dudes from Dallas, Dallas is incredibly um, competitive currently. I'm almost
Yeah.
positive if there's one team in the league Coleman would go to, it would be that or Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Um,
to be a couple hours away from his actual home, like why wouldn't you do that?
exactly. So, and you again, Flames can retain some, but you're eating up a little bit of Dallas's cap space. This is kind of a big brain play, right? You're eating
Mhm.
up a little bit of Dallas's cap space to make it harder for them to match an offer sheet. Um, but then what you do is you wait until July 1st because I'm pretty sure that Maverick Bork isn't going to take any deals before July 1st. He can be he's gonna, his representation is gonna be sitting there waiting to see what kind of offers they get from offer sheet offers they get from other teams, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you
Yeah.
look at, I'm looking at Puckpedia's offer sheet compensation board right now.
Okay.
So if the offer sheet is anywhere between 2.29 mil and 4.58 mil, it's only a second round pick.
Right.
If you've eaten up a little bit of Dallas's cap space, they can't match that. You don't even have to go to the top end of that, right? You can do like a 3 mil. Is Maverick Bork currently worth 3 mil? Maybe not, but I think it's worth taking a stab on a guy who's buried like he is in that system, who's got
Right.
the upside he has. He led the AHL in points a couple years ago. Like this guy is no slouch. So I would be more than willing to pay our 2026 second and $3-4 million to get this guy and Blake Coleman for that matter.
So how much did you say that you figured they have for next year as far as space?
I think it's 558, I believe.
So I'm
That's what
on cap wages, and they show currently next year's cap space being 12.9.
that's weird. Puckpedia is saying 5.8. So cap projections, yeah. 2026,
Have
2025.
they updated the new cap for next year?
Uh, yeah, yeah. NHL cap limit 95.5. Projected cap space 5.87.
Is I believe their cap for next year right now is only 82 million.
So I'm curious if they are looking, if what you're looking at is looking at the $3 million worth of buyouts that they have.
Next year they only have 1.4 for Ryan Suter.
Okay. Okay. So, huh. It's weird that there's such a big difference. Maybe I'm reading the site wrong, but it says right here 5.8.
And that's with hmm, maybe it's Heiskanen that they're not calculating there on the
Oh
long
yeah,
term.
because Miro's at
8.45.
8.4. So yeah, that's probably it. Because he's on LTIR for now, although I think he might be back soon. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so that might be it. But either way,
Yeah,
that's what I
I
think the
suppose that
pay.
makes sense because they've got 53.8 in forwards, 17.9 in defense under contract for next year. So I mean that's 70 right there.
And then Ottinger and Heiskanen and Suter.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's 70 plus 9 mil. Yeah. So it is. So it's the Heiskanen on IR. They don't have calculated in there.
Okay. So yeah, either way, I'm just going to go through some of Maverick Bork's stats here. So for the Texas Stars, he had 77 points in 71 games a couple years ago, which and 26 goals, which was I think one of the league leaders. That's not a very high scoring league. Um,
Right.
and this year he didn't play, like he played 73 games, but he was buried below a bunch of guys and got 25 points as a rookie, which isn't bad considering he was playing third, fourth line minutes behind all those guys in Dallas. Um, and he's a center. I'm a huge fan of the way this guy plays. And I think that trading Coleman I don't want to trade Coleman. I like Coleman as a hockey player and as a leader, but I want to trade Coleman in the sense of, the team outlook for the future, because
Right.
he doesn't fit when we're going to be competitive. He's going to be a couple of years past his contract expiring. He probably won't be in Calgary anymore. He may not even be playing hockey at the NHL level anymore. Not because he'll be demoted, but because he's might retire by then. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just feel like replacing a guy like Coleman with a guy like Bork, who can also be who is a center, um, makes a lot of sense for the Calgary Flames and their future. And overpaying a guy for 1 or 2 years on an offer sheet, and but underpaying value wise when it comes to only paying a second round pick for a guy who has the upside that he does. And the other thing you can do to put the stress on them, I don't think they will, but this kind of reminds me of what St. Louis did with Edmonton. So Nils Lundqvist is a right-handed defensive defenseman who is also an expiring UF or RFA. You
Okay.
could
Yeah.
also offer sheet him. Now, I'm not the biggest Nils Lundqvist fan, but he's still young enough that I would be okay with offer sheeting him at a lower area threshold for, not a second round pick is what I'm trying to get at. And
Right.
trying to see if putting that pressure on, kind of like the Blues did to the Oilers with Broberg and Holloway last year, if you can offer sheet both of those guys, that would be a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah. Fair.
But
I
my
think.
main target would be Bork. I wouldn't really, as much as a young right-handed defensive defenseman is exactly what the Flames need. I
Right.
wouldn't be. I would much rather have Bork than Lundqvist.
Yeah. I personally wouldn't be giving anything up to get Nils at the moment. Um, I would need to see him come back from injury and show that he's still capable. But I think him, yeah. I mean, we've got a clog, for the right hand D right now. So I don't. That to me doesn't intrigue me so much, but the
Sorry,
Bork
left
one
hand. I
does
believe he's
definitely.
left hand. My bad. I could be
Think so?
wrong.
They haven't listed as right D,
Okay, well,
but
I'm
I
not
mean,
positive.
either way, I think I'm not super interested in offer sheeting a defenseman at this time, but I understand your reasoning behind it.
And I'm
Where
not
Bork
just doing
Bork
it for
does
drama
intrigue me, I
either.
think.
I'm doing
Hmm?
it. I would be doing that kind of for the same reason why I trade them Coleman as well, and that's to put the pressure on their cap space,
Right.
right? So if you're oversheeting two guys, then all of a sudden it gets really frazzled. And I mean, not that I think their GM is as fucking stupid as the Oilers, but still.
Yeah. What do you think his next contract looks like, Nils Lundqvist?
Oh, it's like less than two.
You think so? Because he's making 1.25 now.
Yeah, I don't think he's shown enough to get that much of a raise. I think it would have to be a short show me deal.
Hmm. Okay. All right.
Again, I don't care much about Lundqvist. This is mostly about Bork. That's just,
Right.
I think Conroy will offer sheet Bork and trade Coleman. That's my hot take. The Lundqvist thing is just me throwing another thing in there.
Ready to win some real cash during basketball playoffs? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, including prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6 Plus. Even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download your DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Maverick Bork, what do you think about that part of it?
I don't mind that. I would be okay with giving up an offer sheet just because, it'd be a second to first. Like, obviously, I don't think it would be a first, but I'd be okay with it, even though we have a lot of middle six guys, but I'm okay with fucking with Dallas, to be honest.
It's
You
not
know what I
even about
mean?
working with Dallas. It's about getting Bork. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
For me personally, you get rid of Coleman, you open up a spot. I think if
Mhm.
you get Bork and Zeri's healthy, you're probably gonna have to trade another veteran. Um, maybe even two. I don't know. I had another hot take that in case we had two that were conflicting, I was gonna say we trade Joel Farabee because I don't
Yeah.
whatever. Like he's better than he showed, but he's still whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. If Fairby didn't make the team out of camp last year, I'd be like, all right, well,
next year, yeah.
and- yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, I
Okay.
mean, I didn't, he was okay to have out there, but I mean, like as far as moving the needle on the Flames, he wasn't it for sure, like at all, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Um and I think Bork has first line potential, like outside first line potential, but definitely second line potential
Yeah.
as a center. So,
Yep.
and again, we like you said, we have a ton of middle six young guys currently, but there's nothing wrong with competition at those positions as long as it's not 30-year-olds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like we need to not acquire a single person for next year that is over 25.
I agree.
Period. Like,
That includes Sam Bennett,
oh,
but
well, sometimes you have to make concessions on certain guys. Like there's some guys are worth it,
you're absolutely fantastic at trying to piss me off.
right? Well, I feel like the conversations between you and Richard would be amazing, and I, being the type of person that I am, would probably try and initiate these conversations as often as I could.
Absolutely. Could you imagine how like spending the $8 or $9 million it's going to be
Yep.
for him when you
Mhm.
know that he's never scored 60 points before? And he's like pushing 30.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, fuck no. Anyways,
You
moving
would
on.
have said the same thing 6 years ago. So
Yeah.
your take on Bennett is irrelevant.
Alrighty then. Do you want to talk about the playoffs at all? I see Winnipeg won their game tonight.
Yeah.
And so did Florida and Washington, who both eliminated their opponents for
5 games.
4-1 in both series. So the Canadians are out. The Canadians are going to be fun to watch over the next few years, I think. And
Yeah.
the Lightning are out, which were my cup picks. So here we are.
Thanks, bracket. Fuck's sake.
Luckily, the brackets are free buy-ins, so I'm not too worried about it.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Did do you still have the piece of paper written down from when we made our first round picks?
Yeah. Yeah, I put it in our group chat so we wouldn't forget.
They did that like 2 weeks ago, and there's been about 1,000 comments since. And I'm not scrolling up because that would take days. But we'll do a show on it later, anyways. Once the round is over, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Here it is. I had Habs in 7. You had Washington in 6. You had LA in 7. I had LA in 6. So both of those are wrong. We both had Tampa Bay in 6, so we were both wrong on that one. And Carolina in 4, we both had the sweep. So we were both wrong
Missed
on
it.
that. Although New Jersey did put up more of a fight than I thought they would.
You say we're wrong on LA? I mean, I potentially can still be right. You're still wrong, okay?
No, because Edmonton's already won 3 games. Oh wait, no, you had LA
Right.
in 7. So yeah, you could still be right. My bad.
I'm like, wait a minute. What did
Yeah,
I miss? Is it now best of 9? What's happening?
yeah. No.
Um,
That's fair.
I'm actually still surprised that I took Tampa. Well, did I? I'll have to go back to the episode because I must have been. I think I was drinking that night.
Probably. But we both had Tampa in 6,
Huh. Yeah,
which
see, I
is
fucking
the only
let you
one we
talk me
agreed
into
on.
shit. I let you talk me into it. That's all it is.
Probably. That's
There's
probably
no
it.
way I would. Damn it! Didn't I say like if Kachuk actually comes back for the playoffs, they're gonna win? I remember saying something like that.
I don't remember.
It's
You're just
fine.
trying to take back what you said is what's going on here.
Probably because that was embarrassing.
You're counting on me drinking tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's no record of it.
Cheers.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so I mean, there it is, right? I mean, we're looking like the East is almost settled. We still got to wait for Ottawa to advance, play Florida, but other than that,
Let's talk about that series for a second. Do you think like are you just saying that to troll? Because I feel like most of the people that are saying that are trolling that Ottawa's gonna win the next couple games. Feel like most people that are saying that are trolling, but also there's a little sliver of truth to it because like, come on.
there's there might be some truth. Potentially, it may be hope. Yes, it's a troll. Possibly, it's everything mixed in. To be honest with you, right? When it comes to the Maple Leafs in the first round, what's the first thing you think of?
Failure.
Choking. I mean, really, the first thing I think about is Boston for some reason, but it's
The
weird.
lack
But
of heart and emotion from
Mm.
one specific guy. But
Mhm,
anyway,
mhm. And Marner's not a playoff performer.
Marner is a playoff performer.
No
By the way.
shit.
By the way, Marner has been a playoff performer for years, and the
Right.
Maple Leafs
Correct.
fans completely scapegoat the guy. Meanwhile,
Every year.
he is their best player in the playoffs. Period.
Yeah. And AM gets a pass every year.
Yep.
For whatever reason.
Nylander's pretty good too.
Man,
I don't mind Nylander, but
you know what? He's growing on me. I didn't like him for quite a while, but he's growing on me. I don't mind him.
so is Tree Living letting Marner walk?
You know, goddamn well he is. That's his mantra. Is he?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's already starting to feel his end is near in Toronto, so he will blow it up in whatever fashion he can. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I mean,
he's really good at it.
he bridged Matthews already,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
reminds
What
me
the
of nothing at
fuck?
all.
No, like what the hell?
And
I'm sure
then,
Matthews just
right
goes
after, a
whatever.
couple years after he bridged Matthews, actually, was he the one that bridged him, or was it the guy before him? I can't
I
remember.
feel like it was the guy before him.
Okay. So
Well,
Matthews is bridged either way, which is stupid.
hold on.
But Marner is going to walk because elite game breaking, playmaking winger. Why would you give him the extra money to stay? Especially if you're
Right?
Tree Living, who just doesn't do that.
It just makes no sense to do that. No,
He's
it
probably
was
out
Brad.
here offering Marner like $7 million for 8 years. Hey, you want to stay around? Like, if you really want to stay in Toronto, why don't you take like just over half of what you're worth
It was Brad that signed him to the
to the
the 4
bridge?
year. Yeah,
That's
to the
such
4 year.
that is such a fucking Brad thing to do, and it's also such a player friendly thing because Matthews is gonna. I mean, he had a 69 goal season, I believe.
Right.
Like he's going to get paid by somebody. Um, I don't know. He probably wanted to go to Arizona, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But
I mean, he acquires the 13.25 times 4 year contract the summer after getting 69 goals. So I mean, like the dollar amount is great. It's the fact that you know it's only 4 years, 3 years left on that deal, anyways.
yeah.
Good job,
Anyways,
Brad.
so is Ottawa coming back? I think Ottawa's coming back. I actually think Ottawa's coming back.
I think there's definitely going to be a game 7. And I'm pretty sure the home team's going to be disappointed in that 7th game.
Toronto is the home team, right?
I think they might be. I can't remember.
Yeah. I will laugh very hard, and I will definitely tune into a certain dangly type of a podcast just to listen to the 2.5 hour long rant of how bad his team is.
Well, do you think it'll be a repeat rant from last year and the year before and the year before and the year before?
It'll be even worse though because it's not Boston. It's not
Right.
like
I mean, if they,
it's a team with
especially after
0
going up 3
players who
nothing.
have any playoff experience.
Yeah. Yeah. After going up 3 nothing, just, if you're going to collapse, might as well do it in Toronto fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here for it.
So what other series are still going on here? We got the Vegas Golden Knights up on the Wild 3-2. And I wanted this series has been my favorite so far. The way the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild have been playing, I don't know how many games you've got to watch because they've been on pretty late, but they are playing third round hockey already. It is physical. It is all grinding. It is grind.
Yeah.
It's heavy hockey, and it's really fun to watch. I really enjoyed this series so far. I am kind of still flabbergasted that they challenged the goal for goalie interference. Did
In
you
that
see
last
that?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Minnesota Wild went up, I believe it was 3-2 near the end of the game.
Yep.
And they challenged for goalie interference and reviewed it. Or sorry, they didn't challenge. I believe the league looked at goalie interference and they
The-
what's
I
that?
think the league looked. I think the league looked at a kick.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. The league looked at a kick. You're right. The league looked at a kick which was not there because it went off the guy's leg, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that got quickly overturned, but then they reviewed it again for an offside that happened 17 seconds or something like that beforehand.
Right.
And that and like they reviewed the same goal twice. I don't
Well, and
remember
then there was
that
a coach.
ever happening.
There was a coach's challenge too, right? There was a coach's
Yeah,
challenge
yeah.
for interference. And so it was just like, yeah, the whole
No,
thing was just
the
nuts. And
coach's challenge was for interference. I thought the coach's challenge was for offside.
I was pretty sure it was for interference, but you know what? I had it on the iPad on my table here while I was watching the Oiler game. So
Okay.
I didn't have the audio, so I could be wrong on that.
Okay. Yeah, I my audio was really low. Um so I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure there was no goalie interference. Either way, the fact that it was reviewed twice at least is ridiculous to me. Like,
Yeah.
move on. But either way,
Yeah.
then the Golden Knights came back and won that one. So that's unfortunate because I think the Wild are the better team. But
Mhm. Yeah,
and
I think vastly they're a better team, to be honest. Like all around team. Oldie has been a stud. Kaprizov is always been a stud.
did you see that Boldy goal though?
Yeah,
It's like fucking prime Mario Lemieux.
yeah, yeah. And I think obviously with Fleury needing to come in after the second too, right? Like that's got to be difficult. I think that changes your mindset as far as how you're playing the game.
For sure. And I don't think he played badly at all. Like
No,
he
no,
did.
not at all.
The other team like didn't get much, right? Like the Knights
Right.
weren't testing him much, but he was there when he needed to be up until the
Mhm.
very end, I guess. But he was for the most part up there when when they needed him to be. And I mean, coming in cold, being a guy who like that is almost for sure his last NHL game, and he knows
For
that,
sure.
right?
Yeah, I'm sure he does. And but what I'm saying, like I felt like there was a big change in the style of play for the third,
Yeah,
even though the game was super tight and you would think they'd be playing defensive hockey anyways, but they definitely brought it back to defensive hockey, and I think they somewhat suffered because of it, but I think they were just trying to compensate for their actual number one goalie going down due to illness, right?
yeah.
Um, so it's super unfortunate because I think given the first couple of periods, I feel like Minnesota should have won that game.
Me too. Me too.
Mm.
And how about the Oilers coming back? I really don't want to talk about it, but we might
Yeah.
as well. The Oilers coming back from 2-0 to fucking 3-2 in the series.
Yeah, they went home and were able to finally squeak out a win, and they've pretty much taken advantage of it ever since. Like the game 5 was really tilted.
I thought game 4 was really tilted the other way,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
I feel like what happened is LA vastly outplayed the Oilers in game 4.
Yeah.
Should have won the game, didn't.
Mhm.
You can blame Byfield, you can blame whoever, Kemper, whatever, but they didn't win that game. And then they went into game 5 feeling bad for themselves. And then they just kind of shat the bed and let the Oilers run their show legitimately for 60 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. Like at one point, like there were the difference in shots there at one point was like 25, 30. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, it was. As soon as the game started, you could tell how that was going to go. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if especially when you've got the offensive juggernauts that the Oilers do have on the team, like if the Kings aren't going to get a 3-goal lead, they're not going to be in this at the end because the Oilers were moving around pretty good.
I didn't actually catch the beginning of that game because I was busy watching New Jersey getting beat
And yeah,
after Markstrom made 38 straight saves, and actually I think it was 38 out of 39 saves that
right.
that Markstrom made, like in the game. Like
Mhm.
it was fucking ridiculous. The Hurricanes absolutely destroyed them that game. And then I switched over to the Golden Knights game, Golden Knights
Right.
and Minnesota game because I enjoyed all the games in that series more than the Edmonton game, so I was watching that one more. And then I
Right.
watched like the end of the Edmonton game, but
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whenever you have a team that's about to be or potentially about to be eliminated, obviously you're going to want to tune into that. Want to see how
especially
that
when you get
finishes
their
in the
first round pick.
correct.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, so and so now, given how the playoffs have turned out, it is now guaranteed. We now have the 18th pick in next year's draft, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much the best case scenario. Um,
Mhm.
no, obviously the best case scenario would be for us to have our pick, but as far as where New Jersey's pick could have landed, that's pretty much best case scenario.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No, it
that's
worked out
good.
well. It was
Yeah.
good.
I don't have much else to say.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but this show's getting a little long in the tooth. We're at an hour and a half ish. So, um,
It's long in the teeth,
got any
baby.
closing thoughts or
Closing thoughts. So, what are we closing with this time? Go Sens?
just Sens? Here's the thing: I don't give two fucks about the Sens. I
No, no.
just really fucking hate the Leafs.
Correct.
I don't give two fucks about the Kings. I just really hate the Oilers.
Correct.
When the Flames aren't in the playoffs, it's almost guaranteed that I'm just hate watching. And I love it.
You're right.
I'm not
Just
saying I'm
hate watching.
narcissistic, but
You may not be saying it, but that's what everybody's thinking.
yeah.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everybody, for some hot takes. Make sure that you give us your hot takes in the comment section. Like and share. Tell everybody about it. Don't forget to click on the couple of links we're going to have below. One being for the Rocky Mountain Maniacs, who are a Calgary band. They're pretty awesome dudes. Make some really good music. You should actually try and make efforts to get out and see them perform live sometime. Follow them on Facebook. Their Spotify link will be below. Also, click on the DraftKings link. Use code THPN for your first DraftKings picks entry, whatever you want to call it. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Cheers.
We'll catch you next time. Go Sens.
Go Sens.